All right, on today's episode, we're going to get started on this LS9 Nightmare. This is going to be really episode 1 and 2 together because somebody who's going to remain nameless accidentally deleted all the footage from episode 1. So we're just going to have to talk about we're just going to have to talk about what we did there, and I'm going to show you some stuff. And then we're going to go over maybe not all the problems, but a bunch of the problems of this thing. And then every operation we do will be another episode, and we're going to follow this thing through all the way till it's fully assembled. So, I mean, it might be 12 or 15 episodes. I'm not sure yet, but anyway, stay tuned. All right, so when we tore this thing down, the bearings looked really bad, and the customer said it had a noise, but we never actually found the noise. It's a local customer that we've done a bunch of engines for in the past, and he bought this car, and it was already built. So he pulls the engine out, brings it, and Andrew tears it down, and I wasn't here when the bulk of it the heads and all got pulled off of it. So we get to the place where we can push the pistons and rods out, pull the crank, and I've seen the bearings, and so come over here and look at these bearings. So if you see, we're touching all this over here, but we ain't touching anything over here. And several of them were that way. I mean, we got a high spot right there, and we're touching all of this, but on the edge we're not touching. And I think that's probably the best one, but it's still, you see it's like the saddle was low right there. And this one was just, it was just riding on the edge. So we pulled the main caps. I'm sorry, we put the block in the line hole, and that's the footage that got deleted. So we put it in the line hole, and I measured the mains, and they were a little junky. So we cut all the caps and put them on, torqued them, line holed them, and did it have studs? It already had studs in it. So we started line honing it, and the caps were, it's odd. I had never seen one really like this, not this bad. But it's like all the caps were leaning. So all the caps were on the engine like they were machined crooked to the actual main saddle. So we cut all the caps and line honed it, and we had to cut the caps twice because it was pretty bad. So we cut the cap, we got it close, and then there was still some shadow. Let me grab a main cap. All right, so here's the main cap. So, and the LS9s are like the LS7s. They're doweled. They have dowels that locate the cap. So we cut them, and once we did the initial hone, you could physically see like it would touch all the way back here, but all of this side it wouldn't touch anything. So usually we can cut, I don't know, 3/1000ths or so off the caps and be able to line hone all 5 mains and get them in line and on size with no trouble. But I think we ended up having to cut these another 2 or 3 to get all of them to come in and not have any shadows where the cap was, like tilted. And again, I've never seen that, and it hadn't been line honed. It hadn't been line honed. They put studs in it, but they never line honed it. So that's problem number 1. So we get that corrected, and all of that's good. And then I didn't pull the heads, so I didn't see it. And so we go to get the head bolts, and I noticed they were a little weird. So this is the head bolt, and it's an ARP 12-point bolt. I've never seen a 12-point bolt. And I got to noticing the threads looked a little funny. So I was looking in the block, and we'll go over to the block in a minute, and I noticed the threads were really tore up in the block. So if you look here, so these are 1.75 millimeter thread pitch. This is a LS bolt, and it's 2.0 millimeter thread pitch. So somebody put the wrong bolts, and where they got them at, I have no idea. And if you look, the length is a little bit wrong, but not crazy. And I don't know what the application these are. Maybe like a Honda or something. I don't know. But they come up with these somewhere, and they put them in, and they had to put them in with a freaking Ugga-Dugga or a pipe wrench or something, because ain't no way they got that in there with just normal stuff. And so that created some more problems. So it murdered all 20 head bolt threads. So we've got the block, we got the BXJ fixture on it, and we got it up in the seat and guide machine. And this is usually where I do this process, because with this machine, the tables air float, so we can just move the block wherever we need it to the next hole to drill. And then we'll drill all the holes on one side, then we'll tap all the holes on one side, and then we use, this is a time cert. So all of the OEs, GM, Ford, Chrysler, blah, 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 they all recognize this as the proper fix. And there's other ways. I mean, there's thread inserts and helicals, and I don't really like helicals. Thread inserts are fine, but these are really good stuff. We've done, I don't know, we've done a bunch of these. We've corrected a bunch of these, especially the early stuff like LS1s. We see them with the threads pulled out a lot. So the job for today is get all 20 of these drilled, counterbored, tapped, and then once that's done, we'll get it out of the seat and guide machine, and then it'll be ready to go to the surfacer to be decked, and we're gonna deck it, and then once it's decked, and all of that will be a video. So there'll probably be a video decking it, and then there'll be a video boring it. We got a set of diamond pistons ordered, but they're not in my hand yet. But as soon as the pistons come in, it'll get decked, and then we'll bore it, and then we'll hone it. And like, you can come over here, and you know, I don't know how many miles I had on it, I can't say, but you can see we dusted a hone through the cylinders just to see how bad they were, and they're all big already, and then some of them didn't clean up, and a lot of them's got a good bit of scratches in the thrust face. So I think it's already 75 over, I think. So we really counting on it going to 80, and then that's gonna be it pretty much. But if you see right here, and this is from the head bolt problem. If you see right here, so you can see how dark it is right here. And then you can see some darkness right here. So that was the head gasket leaking. And then over here, you can see the gasket was leaking there. And up here is kind of shadowy. So for sure, from the wrong head bolts and no torque, and done murdered all the threads, you know, it just had a lot of problems. So So that's the scenario. So I'm gonna get started, and we'll probably like do a couple of holes, and then we'll, you know, fast forward through one side of this deck, and then maybe we'll come back and get one hole counterboard and the insert put in, and let you see that full process. And then we're gonna do all the rest of them off camera, because it'd be an hour-long video, and we don't want to do that. So hang tight. We're gonna get everything set up here to get started, and then we'll be right back. All right, so we got a little centering tool that allows us to just quickly center up on each hole, and this is part of the time cert kit, and all of this stuff, it's got a jig with it, and it's all designed to do all this by hand, but we're not gonna do that today. Let me come over here and get this front one. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the counter bore and put the insert in so you can see that whole process. So this is their counter boring tool, and this the very top of the insert has a flange on it, so you can't go too deep. So this takes care of that and puts the chamfer for the counter bore. tap driver. So I find that cast aluminum, it just chips up. It don't make strings really bad. So, you know, when you get pretty close to depth, I always pull the tap back out, blow all the chips out of the hole, and then you can go to final depth. And I generally don't use any lubricant. Same way on cast iron. I don't ever use any lubricant on cast iron either. Like with helicoils, that's a what we consider a STI, a standard thread insert. So for you can buy STI taps that are spiral point, spiral flute, whatever you're doing, and we run those kind of taps. You know, we power tap in the spindle or in the CNC, either one. But with these here, I haven't found a actual real tap, you know, quote unquote real tap for these time certs. And maybe there's one out there. I've been wanting to call time cert and just ask them, but I haven't done that yet. But I don't like trying to run these, you know, basically hand taps because they don't evacuate the chips very well from the flutes like a properly formed tap does. So it don't take nothing to hang it up in the flutes, and then if it does, and you know what happens next, it breaks the tap off in the block, and we don't need none of that trauma. So that's the only downside. But the good side is with the installation kit, you can, I mean, it's not fun, but you can do this in the car if you had to, with the jig and all. So that's one hole complete. See if you can see down in there to the threads. So that's a brand new fresh set of threads. And then from here, all we got to do is you take so they give you this form tap. So that's basically a form tap. And so the bottom is crimped a little bit. So what you do is you screw this on. You put a little Loctite on, make sure the holes are clean. Like when we completely finish, you know, we'll wash the block and we put these in last. And then you just put it in and screw it down till the form tap will go through the insert. And once it'll go through the insert, the inside of the insert is the correct size. It's locked in the block where it's supposed to be. And then the installer will come back out. So that is how that works. And like I say, you see how much thread engagement you got. And so there's, you know, I've never had any of these pull. And if something ever did happen, you can just extract these and then put a new one back in. If you ever strip them out on the inside, you know, it's not fun, but you can get them out. So that's the operation. That's how we do it, and we'll just carry on. And I'm gonna do the next 20, and then when on the next episode, we'll get it out of here, and we'll go through how we set it up in the surfacer, and then once it's in the surfacer, we'll show you the whole setup, how we indicate it in, and then we're gonna deck it on both sides, and then we'll just move through the system from there. So, all right, that's the first and second episode. We appreciate you so much watching. Like, share, subscribe. If you need any parts, cams, LS stuff, PowellMachineInc.com. If you need to communicate with us, there's a link on the website to the email. We appreciate you very much. See you on the next one.